Whether you're passionate about storytelling, sharing your knowledge, or connecting with an audience, podcasting is an awesome platform for making your voice heard. Fortunately, the basics are much simpler than you might expect. My name is Tom, and in this video, I'll run you through 5 steps to starting a podcast. Did you know that most podcasts stop at 7 episodes? That's the average when they just sort of run out of steam and end. So it's a really good idea when you find a concept to see if you could break it down into more than 7 episode ideas. That way you'll know that your show has legs, which means you can keep podcasting and keep exploring that idea for as long as you'd like. Before getting into any production, editing, recording, concept and branding is all about your idea. This is where you find the concept for your show and the audience that it's intended for. And this is often the most difficult part of the process when it comes to starting a podcast. So it's usually a good idea to take some time and brainstorm several different ideas, concept, approaches. Basically try to look at every possible concept for your show and then find ones that you can break down further into more episode ideas. Now, once you've got a concept that you like, then it's a good time to come up with a title for your show. Great podcast titles are usually pretty simple and catchy. A good way I like to think about it is imagining someone telling their friend about your show. Is your title simple and easy for them to remember and share with somebody else? You'll also need podcast artwork for your show. Most platforms won't let you upload an episode without some kind of artwork to go along with it. This is usually a 3000 by 3000 pixel image that can be as simple or as complex as you want. You can use free design tools like Canva to get started, paid options like Adobe Photoshop, or even take it further and hire a professional graphic designer. It's entirely up to you. You can change your podcast artwork at any time, so don't feel too much pressure to get it perfect right away. And if you really want, you could have different artwork for every single episode. Some people love to kind of give each episode its unique identity and brand, but that does take quite a bit of extra work too. Now that your concept and branding are solid, it's time to outline your episode ideas. Having a content plan will help keep you organized and make your recording sessions much smoother. This is also where you can decide on the format for your episodes. Do you want solo discussions, interviews, storytelling, a mix of everything? Some podcasters use scripts that are read word for word during the episode, and others stick to a more loose bullet point style outline. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever's going to help you communicate most effectively and feel most natural while you're creating your show. There are a ton of different software applications to help keep you organized, but I think a cloud-based application like Google Docs or Apple Notes is really the best way to go. And that's because they sync between different devices, so you can access your notes and add to them and edit them anywhere from any device, which is incredibly handy. And Google Docs is especially great if you want to do collaboration with a co-host or a team for your podcast. At this point, don't stress about super proper script formatting. Just focus on making something that is clear enough for you and anyone else working on your show to understand. As long as everyone's on the same page, your format is just fine. Now, if possible, it's a really good idea to outline more than one episode. Don't just focus on your first episode, but try to outline several different episodes because, again, the more time that you spend in this planning pre-production phase, the easier everything else will be. And now it's time for what is my favorite part, which is the actual production of your podcast. But this is also where you might find yourself feeling overwhelmed with all the options when it comes to equipment and software. So the important thing to remember is to start off by keeping it as simple as possible. Even if all you've got is your phone, you can use a voice memo or recording app and essentially create a podcast production studio in the palm of your hand. But if you want to take things further, there are a few important things to consider when it comes to podcasting equipment. You don't need the fanciest studio or equipment in the world, but investing in a microphone, headphones, maybe some recording equipment or software will really help level up the sound quality of your podcast, along with finding a nice quiet place to record. If you don't have a professionally sound-treated studio or a room that sounds good, it is not uncommon for some really great podcasts to be recorded in closets or cars because those are kind of naturally sound-treated spaces that end up sounding really great on microphone. USB microphones like this are the simplest, most cost-effective, and just best way to instantly level up your sound quality. They connect directly to your computer or even a phone and tablet and let you record into your software program of choice. There are a lot of great USB mic options out there at all kinds of price ranges, but my personal favorite is this one right here, which is the Sennheiser Profile. At $130, it's relatively affordable, it has great sound quality, and it has all of these physical controls right here, which mean you can adjust all of your microphone's audio without needing to dive into software software. Right now, I'm just using software to record my audio, but everything else is just being done through the microphone, including monitoring into my headphones. And any headphones will work for monitoring, but it's nice to have a decent pair. I really like these ones, the Rode NTH 100s, because they're super comfortable, and I think that they give the best like natural, neutral sound quality. So what you're hearing is probably the most accurate representation of what you're actually recording. Now, one downside to USB microphones is that typically you can only connect one to a computer at a time. So if you're recording with guests or co-hosts or multiple people in the same space, you might need to then move on to XLR microphones like this. XLR microphones are more professional style microphones that do require some sort of interface or mixer in order to record or get the signal into your computer. This microphone right here is the Shure SM7B, which is a pretty legendary broadcast studio podcast microphone, but it's also pretty expensive at $400. So there are so many options when it comes to XLR microphones. Some of my personal favorite budget options are the Lewitt LCT 240 Pro, which is usually about $130-ish, and it's a great sounding microphone, or the PodMic USB, which is about $200. And the cool thing about this one is it is an XLR and USB combo mic, so you can use it both ways, and it's a great sounding microphone too. A simple interface like the Focusrite Vocaster 2 will let you connect one or two XLR microphones to your computer, and with more advanced mixers like this, the Rodecaster Pro, you can also record directly to the device itself while it's sending a signal to your computer, and you can also do all kinds of editing and mixing and audio EQ in the device itself. So a simple interface will just get your signal into the computer, and then you can record into software just like with a USB mic, whereas a dedicated mixer will not only do that, but it will also let you have onboard recording, EQ, and effects as well. And when it comes to that software recording and editing, which we'll talk about in a little bit, there are so many different software applications out there. There are quite a few free recording apps available like GarageBand and Audacity, which are more than capable of producing excellent podcasts. And then there's paid software like Logic Pro or Adobe Audition, which can allow you to take things a little bit further if you'd like, but they're definitely not required to create a great sounding show. Now, when you're recording, it's important to speak clearly and confidently. Don't be afraid to let your personality show. And remember that after you're recording, you'll be using editing software to trim out any mistakes or weird pauses. So don't be too hard on yourself if you make mistakes or you need to take a break. And even remember that a few mistakes and hiccups in your show can actually make it sound a little bit more natural and a little bit more authentic. And now that you've recorded your show, it is time to edit. Editing is a skill that you will develop over time. It can be incredibly complex, but it also can be incredibly simple. So when you're just starting out, I definitely recommend, again, keeping things absolutely as simple as possible. At the most basic level, you're just cutting out any egregious errors and maybe adding in a couple things like music or sound clips or interviews to make your show feel complete. How heavily edited your show is entirely up to you. Some people love to do layers upon layers of audio with all kinds of advanced sound design, while other people do little to no editing. There's no right or wrong. More editing doesn't automatically make a show better. Now, if you are adding music to your show, it's important to know that you're legally able to use that music. A subscription to a royalty-free music service might be a worthwhile investment. Artlist and Epidemic Sound are my two personal favorites, but there are many, many more options out there. And using that music that you have the license to use means that your show will not get any kind of copyright claims or any kind of issues when it comes to people discovering that maybe you used a bunch of copyrighted music in your show, which is generally something you probably want to stay away from. And once you're finished editing in whichever software you're choosing to use, you can export your show as a .wav or a .mp3 file. Either one will work, but in general, a .wav file is a little bit higher quality with a bigger file size, while an MP3 is a little bit lower quality, but with a much smaller file size, which takes up a lot less space and takes a lot less time to upload to your podcast host, which is what we're going to be talking about next. Because now that you've got your show edited, it is time to share it with the entire world. But before you can do that, you need to choose a podcast hosting service. Again, there are so many options out there, just like with everything else. So don't stress too much about it. Just try to find the one that you feel like works best for you. Some of them are free and some of them are paid, but basically what a podcast host lets you do is upload the audio file to your episode and then distribute it to all of the different podcast directories. So if you've ever wondered how a podcast gets on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Google Play and all of these other different podcasting directories and platforms, it's all through the host that the audio is originally uploaded to. Every podcast hosting platform will help you submit your show to different directories, but the process does differ a little bit from host to host, but they're all really good at explaining clearly what you need to do. Free hosting platforms like Spotify for podcasters allow you to share your show, view analytics, and even monetize with ads all for free. Paid hosting platforms offer all of that as well, but they usually have a little bit more premium customer service and sometimes more in-depth analytic options. I've personally used Buzzsprout for years, which is a paid platform that I absolutely love, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with a free platform like Spotify for podcasters. You can change your podcast host at any time, and it's a relatively simple process. So again, don't overthink this decision. Just go with what seems best for you right now. And if you decide you don't like it and you want to change to something else later on, it's pretty easy to do, and it won't affect your show or your audience at all. Once you've selected your podcast host, it's time to upload your episode or episodes, add descriptions and artwork, and publish your show. You can publish episodes immediately or schedule them for future release if you want to record a batch of episodes and then space them out over time. And that can all be done automatically, which is incredibly helpful. And at this point, that's it. You have now created and published your own podcast. You are officially a podcaster. So now it's time to share your show with the world, connect with your listeners, heck, maybe even start a Mighty network for your show and your listeners. Remember that the key ingredients to a great podcast are dedication, passion, and a willingness to learn and grow along the way. So don't be afraid to share your unique voice with the world, and I really hope you have a ton of fun creating your podcast. And if you'd like to know a bit more about creating on Mighty, check out this video right here.